Hey guys, I decided to do a video because a few people don't quite understand or comprehend amorphous technology. Amorphous solar panels are what is called thin film solar. And these are steons, and I want you to look at the reflection that you see in this panel, okay? That's all clouds. It's completely clouded over. It's all haze and clouds. There is no direct sunshine. We're completely clouded over. As you look up right there, that's what we got overhead. Oh, that. Now, what I want to show you here is this. This is the output voltage of this panel, okay? Now, let me do a little test here where I can get something here, and you can't do this. This is just a board. This is my garden out here. I've got this nice garden out here, but as you can see there just ain't much for shadow. And these panels, I mean, now we get a little bit of open sun. You see the voltage coming up. But I want to show you something here. I want you to look. Now, I want you to look. You don't believe it happened? Look. All right. Now, this is the reason for amorphous solar. The biggest point is that, as you can see, that sun is very dim because it's coming through pure haze. And I want you to see this. Put my hand over it. Hand over it. You see? Don't believe it? There it is. Now, these panels can actually produce with about a good 1.5 inches snow on top of them. If you haven't noticed yet, let me give you an idea here. This is a fence. That panel's laying flat. Totally flat. Can you do that with... It even comes on when it's just ambient light. That's panel because it's a good Bosch quality cell panel. Solar World bought them out, and then they started contracting. If you buy a Solar World product, all your cells are now made in China. However, this panel is a little older. It's only 13% efficiency, but I mean, come on, it comes alive at, you know, daybreak. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. How many hours you get charged is a huge deal. So now, as you can tell up here, I'm having little small breaks, but most of it is this. As you can see, there's the sun. 69.4 volts. You don't even see a shadow. Look at my hand. Here, look. No shadow. No shadow. It's nearly 70 volts it's putting out. Now, the reason you want one of these panels like this is, now it's frameless, but they're very easy to mount. Don't freak out. You can actually using aluminum hat metal, and then you just make what is like a little W clip, and you run them just like that. They work just fine. I put down a bed of butyl, just a tiny string of butyl, and then I'll lay that down. But this panel is putting out 69 volts, and it's big. Okay, now look, this is a 8-foot 2x4, and you can see here. So the panel is long. It's a 135 watt panel, but it is thin film technology that uses every one of these lines all the way down is basically a volt plus. It's a little over a volt. I think they're roughly a volt. So even if I look, put my hand right over the sunspot, well, you know, put my hand over it, that's the voltage. Can you do that with a regular solar panel? No. So when you put a regular solar panel like on this thing here, this RV, you can't do that. You can't lay these flat because bird droppings and leaves and whatever, this thing will still produce. You see what I'm getting at? So I just wanted to educate some of you guys about amorphous. Now these are called CIGS, C-I-G-S. Now that's the chemical makeup of what's inside this panel. Now the thing is that these panels can last up to 50 years. Okay? There's no cell degradation. There's no cell loss that's going to happen. These panels will lose between 4 to 6% of their actual cell ability, or their power making ability, over a 10-year period, up to 7% over the lifetime of the panel. So these panels can last 50 years. I have unisolars on my roof that are 5 years old. they actually got more powerful. So, and they're amorphous, and even when there's snow on them, they make power. So I was wanting to give you all these details. They come with the MC connectors, and when you're using an MPPT controller, maximum power point controller, this 135 watt panel will produce 75 to 78 volts. So you have to get one that can handle up to 100 volts input. And this panel, though, will be able to charge 12 volt batteries, 24 volt batteries, 48 volt batteries. You don't have to keep buying additional panels, just one MPPT and these panels. So I'm giving you an idea. I've got tape measure, a little cheap Harbor Freight one. And I'll get out here on the end of the panel there. You can see me hook onto it. So these are, oh, they're a little over 5 foot. So it's over 5 foot long. What are we at? 65 inches long. And they are about 26 inches wide. Now, that design taken in mind, this travel trailer roof right here is going to have a flat roof. Even those vents that are right there and there are going to be removed, and they're going to be box channeled to the side. So it's just a piece of box, hole drilled in the center, end capped, and it comes out the side. And then there's that hat metal that'll go across the top, 3/8 plywood. The whole thing will be decked and smooth with additional foam insulation. And it comes out to the end here, it'll make a slight brow. So coming out here, because of these panels, because of their length, and I want to get 12 of them on here, because of their length, I'm actually going to be coming out about 10 inches past, and then do a slight curvature back, and then mount the lights actually on the rim. So the roof will be totally flat on this 1976 Rambler. Now, most everything is gone on this Rambler. However, there's a vent that's for the refrigerator, and because the refrigerator still has 17 inches between the top of it and the top of the trailer, we're going to actually take this vent and just install a ream vent right here for the refrigerator. It's same purpose. They're made like this with those kind of vents for the one reason. Well, the RV manufacturers want to make sure you vent out. So what we're going to do is inside there, we're going to actually make a sheet metal duct and then seal it up side to side so that any exhaust gas doesn't get back in the unit. So, okay, now, as you look up here, even the antenna that's on here, which I think you can see right about there, it will be removed. Of course, modern technology, we don't need that big antenna on there. The instant water heater, 2 gallon per minute instant water heater will be put in. We won't need as much propane. This trailer is going to get drastically lighter. So back to these panels, as you can tell, it is still producing 69 volts. And I mean, you can see there's no shadow really. It's just total here. So there, total. Sun's behind the clouds 100%. In fact, we got rainstorm coming. That's why I came out here and decided to film this, is because that's where the sun's at. Now you see there's the sun, okay? So you can barely see the glare of it in this panel. Look, tape measure sitting right on the panel. Check that out. That's just fascinating. Hey, let's go for some more, huh? Let's put another one on there. Wow, what the hell's happening here, huh? Let's put my hand on there too. Now, are y'all starting to understand amorphous solar panels? So, if you're living in a very cold climate, a wet climate, snows a lot, things like that, this panel works on infrared mainly. Okay, it doesn't work on general light energy or photovoltaic. It works on more of an infrared or a light spectrum. It works on a light spectrum. So light spectrum will travel through snow. Have you ever sat in your car and had 2 inches of snow on your windshield and you're still lit up inside? Well, that's what you got here. Now you get 3 or 4 inches, that's a different story. It might get dark in there. Well, if you live basically from the Midwest on east, well, your snow is probably filthy, so you probably don't see through 2 inches of snow. But this panel will still work under at least 1.5 inches up to 2 inches of good clean snow. It will work. So as you can see, sun's come up a little bit, power's coming up a little bit, but it's not the direct hard sun. Now you see there's a little bit of shadow now, see the shadow down there? Now it's producing more power. But you notice it doesn't take good, bright sun. It just takes that spectrum that even makes it through the clouds. You ever get a sunburn on a cloudy day? That's the light spectrum that these work on. Now, Steon got put out of business by, basically put out of business. I mean, they're still operating, but they basically got put out of business by a bunch of dirty dealing with, you know, presidential candidates who paid off a bunch of solar companies and for kickbacks. Steon wasn't apparently one of them, so they've struggled. I recommend and I support this company because they still build a better product than anybody out there. It's a shame that a lot of them went out of business that made good stuff like this because of that. But this one is a primo. All right, might edit this video to help you out a little bit. Look, you can even see all the clouds in the reflection, I think. I can see them. But it's just dull, dull. Cover it up. Look, still works. Covering up, cover it up, still works. It's amazing stuff, isn't it? 3 wide and 4 long are going up on that trailer, which is 12 times 135 watts per unit with multiple MPPTs with a bridge controller in there. I have a friend of mine's making me a special controller for it. That's what you get. That RV with nearly 1,500 watts, or right at 1,500 watts, run everything. It's also, if you've seen the previous video, has a air conditioning unit that is going to go into that RV that only pulls about 400 watts instead of pulling almost 2,000. All right, guys, this is how we go. You go efficiency. If you live in a northern climate, JW Solar, you guys I've talked to you before, or JW Solar and a few others, you live in a northern climate, man, go with these. Yes, it's frameless, but it's also very strong. Simple mounting techniques, doesn't take a rocket scientist. All right, guys.